Hello everyone and welcome to Beginner's Code, a place for you to learn with me as I dive deeper into the coding world. Before I start, this video is brought to you by SiteGround. If you're looking for a hosting service that is fast, reliable and has great customer service, please do check out the link in the description below. This is an affiliate link, so if you do end up being a SiteGround customer through my link, I will receive a little and this will be extremely beneficial for the channel. Or if you're wanting to learn more about Python, then make sure you check out my website, Instagram or GitHub for projects. The links for these will all be in the descriptions below, so please do check them out. Also, don't forget to subscribe to see more videos from me as I teach you through the basics. Today we will be looking at the Matplotlib library. I recently went through Transfermarkt's website and had a look at the most expensive transfers across the four main leagues: La Liga, the Premiership, Serie A and the Bundesliga. Using Matplotlib, we are able to take the numbers and output it to a very easy to read graph. Okay, so the first thing we're going to be doing is just importing the Matplotlib library. Now, if you haven't got this installed, then you can use pip install matplotlib. This is outside the scope of today's video, but I do have it already installed, so I will just be importing from it. So from Matplotlib, import pyplot as PLT. So this just allows us to use the pyplot class that comes within the Matplotlib library, but we will be using it as the alias of PLT. So I can now reference the whole pyplot library as PLT. So plt.style.use, and I'm going to use Seaborn. Now there are lots of different styles that you can use. If you have a look at the documentation, it does actually go through them, but Seaborn is one that I actually quite like the look of. So next I'm going to be creating the x-axis, and this will be the years. So this will hold all the years along the bottom going from 2012 to 2020. So I'm going to create a list that goes from 2012 to 2020. 2018, 19, and finally 2020. Next, I'm going to be creating the plotting the La Liga data. So I will actually create a new variable called La Liga and create another list, and each data that is inputted will correspond to each year. So the first one, which is 31.87, that corresponds to the year 2012. So the next one is 80.46, and then 65.06, 30.27, 29.21, 115.51, 57.36, 101.33, and 27.88. Now you need to know that these are all in millions, so it is a lot of money that they have been spending. But just so that we can get an idea of what this looks like, I'm going to actually plot it. So plt.plot, and this will take in the x-axis of years underscore x, and then a y-axis of La Liga. So this will then plot the two data points together. We can also give it a color by using the color variable and then passing in either a hex code or an RGB value. So 1322, and this will be red. So I'm now going to give it a line width of 1, just so it's not that thick. And then a label of La Liga so that we are able to see it. Now, just quickly, I'm going to actually give the some labels to the X and Y axes as well as the title and whether or not we want to show a grid. So plt.xlabel, and this will be season's transfer window. And then plt.ylabel, and this will be millions spent on a single player in Great British pounds. Now we'll give the whole graph a title that just says top 4 football leagues highest transfer spend. So this can be from any team within the whole league. It's just the highest amount paid for a single player. And actually now we'll just show. So if I head over to my desktop, and now if I do Python, what did I save it as? Football transfers. And then we run it. So we get here this graph opened up. And as you can see, it starts here at 2012 and ends at 2020. And every year there is a nice adjustment to it. And you can see that with Seaborn, it has automatically given us this grid as a background. We haven't actually passed in a parameter for that at the moment, but it has automatically given it. So, and at the top is the title for the whole thing. Here is the X label that we made and then the Y label that we made. So now if I close this, and then if I add in the Prem variable, so this is the money that was spent in the Premiership, the English Premiership. So 31.5, 42.3, 67.5, 68.4, 94.5, 76.23, 72, 78.3 and 72. So now to get this also put onto the graph, we can then use plt.plot again. So plt.plot, and this will take the year's x-axis again, but this will also take Prem as the y-axis. And we can pass in another colour. And then I will pass in the line width again, being 1. We can make this thicker if we wanted to. And then the label would be Premier League. Now if I save that and then head back over to here and run it, you see now we have 2 different lines. One that is red for the La Liga, and then one that is purple for the Premier League. And you can see that the Premier League has consistently stayed quite high over the last sort of 5 or so years. There was a massive jump between 2012 and 2014 where it almost doubled. But yeah, it has stayed consistently quite high. Now we can also do the same for Serie A. And I'll pass in the data, so 15.93. 31.07, 19.92, 31.87, and then 71.7, 33.46, 93.2, 68.11, and 57.36. Now to get this onto the graph as well, we will need to use plt.plot. And we'll pass in the x-axis and then the y-axis. And I will give it a colour. I spelled colour wrong. And then a line width of 1. And then the label of Serie A. And then if I head back and run, we have a error. Serie A is not defined. Right, I'm missing the equal sign there. And then try it again. We get it now, and we have a blue line. So the blue line actually starts a lot lower here than the Premier League and the La Liga. And that's because the first entry was a lot lower. But you can see as it gets further into, just like the Premier League, they are spending a lot more money. Now, La Liga does have the most expensive transfer so far at almost 120. So it is quite evident to see that there are teams that seem to be spending a lot of money some seasons and then dropping off a lot the next season. Whereas still with the Premier League, it kind of looks like there is a consistently high payment per season, and that may be because there are 4 or 5 teams that actually have quite a lot of money compared to La Liga's 2, potentially 3 if you include Atletico Madrid. So now the final one that we are going to look at is the Bundesliga. And the Bundesliga should be a little bit lower, just because the Bundesliga actually does have a lot of fans who own or part-own the football clubs. So they should be quite considerably lower than teams like in the Premier League or La Liga. So Bund 35.85, and then 29.48, 25.49, 34.25, 27.88, 33.06, 22.31, 63.73, and then 35.86. And then plt.plot will pass in the x-axis again, and then the y-axis. We'll give it a colour of 19191C, and then a line width of 1, with the label of Bundesliga. Can't spell Bundesliga. So now if I head back, close this down and then run it, you now see the black line, or almost black, of the Bundesliga, which is quite a considerable amount lower. However, this year, 2019, is almost up there with the rest of the leagues. This may be because of Red Bull Leipzig, or Rasenballsport Leipzig, who are owned by Red Bull. So that might have had a little bit of a reason as to why there is quite a considerable amount more. I can't actually remember who that signing was. But if we head back, we are then able to add a couple more things. So if I wanted to actually show these labels here, we can put the legend there. And if I run this, you now see up here we have a key for each individual line. So red La Liga, purple Prem, blue Serie A, and black Bundesliga. But I can also now do plt.grid and pass in false. And then if I come back to here and I run it, you see we don't actually have a grid included, which I think actually looks nicer. It's much more cleaner, but it can be harder to see the specifics in terms of like how much money is actually spent. That's all for today's video. Hopefully this has helped your understanding of how Python can be used to turn your data into visual graphs. This makes it a lot easier for you to read your data rather than by looking at numbers. If there's anything you'd like me to cover further, please don't hesitate in reaching out to me by dropping a comment below on Instagram or through my website. Stay tuned, as in my next video I will be looking at part 2 of useful operators, where we will be going through user input. If you liked what we've been through today and you want to learn more, please drop a like and subscribe to my channel to keep up to date. Thank you, and see you next time.